Hi, my name is Nandita.
I'm Purnell.
And I'm Chris, and we're students here at the University of Delaware. In many of the science classes here at UD, a major portion of them take place in labs, just like the ones in the building behind me.
And because the lab component of these classes is so significant, we need to think about and review lab safety information.
And even though you have taken numerous lab classes in the past, it is still your responsibility to demonstrate that you know how important policies and procedures related to lab safety are every time you walk in the door. So do your part and know your stuff.
Review of this video is part of a requirement for lab safety. It covers general safety information and the correct use of specific safety equipment.
You must score 100% on all the quiz questions in order to stay enrolled in the lab. But don't worry, you can always go back and retake the quiz. The goal is to have everyone ready to share the responsibility of lab safety.
Are you ready? Let's get started.
The most basic part about lab safety is having access to information about your surroundings. In the lab, we have the right to know about the chemicals we will be exposed to. This means all containers must be labeled with the full name of their materials and any hazard condition they possess, such as flammable, corrosive, oxidizer, and so on. If something needs a proper label, take the initiative to alert your professor, lab instructor, TA, or preceptor to get it corrected. Students should not label a container unless the act of labeling a container is specifically part of the experiment. The flip side of right to know is the responsibility to know. And as a student in the lab, you are expected to read the labels carefully and take responsibility for knowing what it is you're working with at all times. Additional information about chemicals and other lab products is available in the form of safety data sheets. You can ask the professor, department safety coordinator, lab instructor, TA, or preceptor to show you an SDS for any material you work with in the lab, and they're required to honor your request.
Once inside the lab, there are a lot of little things to know, most of which are just common sense. First, no food or open drinks are allowed in the lab, so don't try to finish your lunch at the bench right before class. If you do have a water bottle with you, it must be kept closed and secure inside your backpack during the entire time. Obviously, no smoking is allowed in the lab as it is prohibited in every campus building. Lastly, do not apply makeup or install contact lenses. The general idea with all of these is to protect you and your fellow students from being exposed to potentially hazardous combination of chemicals or spills.
So your lunch and water bottle are put away, your makeup is on and contact lenses in all before coming to class. You're all set to start lab, right? Well, not exactly. You now need to dress the part. Our first item for the well-dressed lab student, the always fashionable safety goggles. Everyone must wear chemical splash goggles with indirect vents as soon as anyone in the class starts working with a hazardous material. If you wear glasses or contacts, you must still wear goggles over top of them for protection. If you arrive at lab without your goggles, you'll be asked to leave the lab once the experiment starts. It's for a good reason, right? You can't take chances with your eyes. By the way, goggles can be purchased at the school bookstore.
In addition to goggles, everyone must wear lab-appropriate clothing. Again, your common sense should prevail here. Do not wear open-toed shoes such as sandals. Closed-toed shoes are mandatory to protect your feet from spills and other hazards. Also, everyone must wear a lab coat or apron whenever hazardous materials are handled. Don't think you're too cool for the white lab coat. It's better to be safe than cool.
Despite our best efforts, accidents such as chemical spills or broken glass will happen. The best way to minimize them is to maintain the lab area clean and uncluttered. If there is a spill, inform your professor, lab instructor, TA or preceptor as soon as possible. Clean up water spills immediately to prevent slip or fall injuries. A water spill significant enough to damage the adjoining areas must be brought to the attention of the lab instructor, who may then need to call the Facilities Maintenance and Operations Center, extension 1141. In case of a minor chemical spill, follow directions of your lab instructor. If you're asked to clean up a minor chemical spill, wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Remember, never dispose of contaminated paper towels in regular trash and never pour chemicals down a sink drain. If the spill of the hazardous material is too large, notify your lab instructor, who will then contact the Department of Environmental Health and Safety for further assistance. What about broken glass? It's simple. Always use a dustpan to pick up broken glass shards and place them in a special box for broken glass located in each lab.
If an evacuation alarm sounds inside your lab, or your professor, lab instructor, TA or preceptor orders an evacuation, quickly but calmly vacate the building. Turn off the burners and other devices if instructed and leave your backpack and other items if they are not easily accessible.
You need to take off your lab coat, safety glasses and gloves before you exit to prevent bringing lab contamination outside. As you exit, don't use the elevator, only use the stairs, and be sure to assist any other students who might need help. Once outside, everybody must be 200 feet away from the building and keep access clear for emergency vehicle and personnel. Be sure you're in your assigned meeting place for your lab group and don't attempt to get back into the building until you have been given the all clear by your instructor or another authorized person.
In every case of chemical spills, equipment failure, or personal injury that occur in lab, you must notify your instructor, no matter how small. The incident must be documented by your lab instructor, even if it is not life-threatening. Additionally, chemical contamination to clothing or skin must be removed before leaving the lab. The University of Delaware Department of Environmental Health and Safety must be contacted immediately in the case of chemical contamination. Should an injury result in blood on any surface, do not clean it up. No one is allowed to deal with blood. If there is blood from an injury that occurs in the lab, your instructor will contact a supervisor who will then contact the appropriate department to handle the cleanup.
Students who are injured in the lab have the option to go to the Student Health Center, Nurse Managed Healthcare, or Emergency Room for medical evaluation. Public safety can provide an escort if you or the injured person can walk there. For a public safety escort, call 302-831-2222 or visit the public safety website for more information.
A word of warning regarding injuries in medical care. The university does not reimburse students for treatments for injuries that occur in lab or class. In other words, the university is not liable for treatment costs and you will have to go through your regular physician and health insurance for treatment. Be aware that the treatment offered by the Student Health Center and Nurse Managed Health Care for lab injuries is very basic and subject to limited hours of operation.
If you have any health concerns about a lab activity, inform your professor. If you believe that your state of health may adversely affect your classmates' ability to perform the activity, bring that up with them as well. Depending on the activity, you may be asked to consult your doctor before continuing in lab.
One last bit of safety etiquette, don't be a jerk. Inappropriate behavior in lab cannot and will not be tolerated. Remember, lab safety is everyone's responsibility. If you're acting foolishly or disrupting class, or you're refusing to comply with safety procedures, you'll be told to leave. Don't make the cops come tase you.
This thing here is not a dual drinking fountain for you and that special someone. It's actually an eye wash station, and its job is to wash out your eyes if they've been splashed with any chemicals. You'll know this has happened if they really burn and hurt. If this happens to you or someone around you, get to the eye wash station as quickly as possible. There are two designs that you may encounter at the University of Delaware: a double ocular with a hose attached located near a sink, or a freestanding eye wash. To use the eye wash, take the hose out of the holder, lean over the sink, open your eyes wide, then squeeze the handle and aim the stream into your eyes, and continue to run water into your eyes for 15 minutes. In all seriousness, this procedure could save your eyes. Don't worry about flooding the counter or the floor. That's the least of your worries. If someone in your lab has to use the eye wash station, alert your professor, instructor, TA, or preceptor and follow their directions. Have someone call the University of Delaware Department of Environmental Health and Safety and 911 for assistance.
Moving on to another aspect of lab safety. Seems endless, doesn't it? We come to the first aid and spill kits. These kits contain supplies such as bandages and inert absorbent materials for handling a wide range of safety issues. You can find them easily in any lab, and if you know the supplies are low, notify your instructor.
Every lab is a familiar red fire extinguisher. They might be in different places in each lab, so be sure to know where the nearest one is when you come in. If there is a fire in your lab and you have never used a fire extinguisher before, do not pick that moment to learn how to use it. Leave that to somebody else who knows what they're doing. Go directly to the pre-arranged meeting place so that your instructor can see that you're safely out of the building. Remember, the most important thing during an emergency or a fire is that you remain level-headed and calm.
When working with hazardous chemicals that can injure your eyes, light you on fire, or cause any harm to you, a working emergency shower must be no more than 10 seconds away. Don't block access to the shower, and keep the pathway clear at all times. If you get splashed with a hazardous chemical, get to the shower immediately. To turn on the shower, pull this handle down. Stay in the water for at least 15 minutes and remove any contaminated clothing. Don't worry about flooding the floor, your health is way more important. To turn off the shower, just push this handle all the way up.
This is a chemical fume hood. It's basically a powerful air cleaner, and its job is to safely exhaust all of the emissions from the experiment. These emissions can be smoky or invisible. To use, raise a glass sash to its stop point and place the chemicals inside. This will allow the hood to do its job. A few more safety tips about hoods. First, never put your head inside of the hood. That kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? All experiments are designed so they can be set up with only your arms and hands reaching inside of the hood. Second, never use the interior of the hood as a writing desk. Finally, tell your professor, instructor, TA, or preceptor if the hood is defective in some way, whether it's not venting properly or if it's just broken. A functioning hood is crucial for lab safety.
Well, congratulations, you're done with training. We hope you found this safety tutorial informative and fun. Once you've correctly answered all the questions on the quiz, you will be cleared to attend the lab. Have a great semester!